All right, questions for Coach Stevens? Start with John Corrales.
Hey, Brad, you talked about getting a lot of film from yesterday's game, but how much when you're playing a team that's trying their own things, maybe some guys on that team might be easing into their seasons a little bit more, how much of that film is not usable?
I think it's all relevant. I think sometimes all of those factors play a role in how you played. But I think it's all relevant and a reminder that to be successful, we have to play with the right, emphases on offense and the right emphases on defense. And so we saw last night several times where we fell short of a standard with regard to pace and execution, screening, cutting, playing off one another, and we ended up with bad possessions that ended up with, long periods of ISO. And then on the other end, there were a few things that we can clean up. So we didn't plan on going very long today. We wanted to come in. Obviously we've got some weather coming tomorrow, so I didn't know what tomorrow would be like. So we ended up going a lot longer than I thought. Guys got loose, guys got after, and I thought we played better today than we did last night, which is encouraging.
Brian Robb.
Hey, Brad, just curious for your thoughts on Javonte Green last night, specifically his defense, and additionally just what kind of role you envision for him, especially early in the season here with Kemba and Romeo out.
Yeah, I mean, regardless of whether he starts or not, we need his energy. He can get you points off cutting. He can get you points off running the floor, get you points off corner crash rebounds. And then obviously has improved his shot, can shoot the ball when open. And but those first three things, those first three areas are, energy effort plays that, are great any time of the game. But I think, we want to see what that looks like at the start of quarters, especially the start of halves. So I could see him coming off the bench. I could see him starting. But that's what we need him to do when he plays. And he does a good job of that. He did a good job of that last night. I thought he was one of the, I thought he was a guy that played to who we think he can be.
Adam Himmelsbach. Go ahead, Adam. All right, we'll go back there. We'll go to Chris Grenham.
Hey, Brad, will you guys be able to utilize any of the Red Claws coaching staff during the season? I know guys like Barlow have been in Boston recently, but is there any plan to maybe utilize their staff at all just to provide some additional personnel in these abnormal circumstances?
Well, Barlow's, because he's gone back and forth between the Celtics and Maine, has been full-time here. And everybody else, Ehrman ended up going with the Knicks. Everybody else is on single-year contracts. And so when the new season happened, we're only allowed to have so many people in the gym. So unfortunately, we're not allowed to have a lot of those people back. And we can't have any guests in the gym. You've been here when we've had 50 college coaches and, different guests that can be a part of drills and those type of things. And we can't do that anymore. So that's just part of the COVID restrictions and regulations, which is another negative of, not having a full G League setup. And I don't know how that's all going to pan out across the league, but it not only affects opportunities for players, it affects opportunities as an entry-level position for coaches, especially those coaches that have just finished a playing career somewhere. It's a great way to, get their feet wet, get into a new career path. And so another reason why we're hopeful that we resume normalcy at some point when it becomes safe to do so.
Cassidy Hubbard.
Hi, Coach. What were the biggest takeaways from your new routine of traveling in, this new environment, and anything you want to apply as far as maybe more energy on the bench for your game at home on Friday?
Our energy was fine. We played in the bubble, so we know what it's like to not have fans. I mean, we've seen that up close. It is a little bit different playing in the big arenas, but it felt very similar to the bubble, maybe even a little bit louder with the piped in noise last night. As far as the travel goes, yeah, there's a lot to adjust to. We have some testing requirements in the mornings that we have to all pass to be able to go to a shoot around. So shoot arounds are going to be delicate for teams. I don't know how many teams are going to just make that optional or even do them at all. It may be more just ballroom walkthroughs. It's a real challenge from a timing standpoint. Obviously, you're pretty restricted with what you can do. And in Philly, especially, there was no indoor dining and those type of things. So yeah, it's a new thing we all have to get used to. And, I think we all need to be very vigilant in doing so. The country's not in a good place right now. And it's as rampant as it's been at any time. And we need to do our part to make sure that we're not only doing that for our teams and our league, but our families. And so we need to be very vigilant, and we all are responsible for that.
Last couple of questions. We'll go back to Adam Himmelsbach.
Can you hear me, Brad?
Yep.
You mentioned for a minute last night about the rookies being a little kind of deer in headlights with a couple of calls, given the accelerated nature of everything right now. How long does it typically take, do you think, like when you do have a summer league and you have full training camp, for that comfort level to really be there for a rookie? And maybe how does it differ from the, like when you acquire a player in February in a trade and is thrown right in?
Oh, it depends. I mean, it can take years, right? It can take months. Everybody's a little bit different. I think that when you're able to acquire people that have played in the league for a long time, they have a general corporate knowledge of the league and all of its playbooks. Tristan Thompson's played against the other 29 teams. He knows generally what they like to do. He probably knows a lot of their play calls historically. He is well-versed in defending different ways against different teams. So when he joins a new team, he's got an idea at least on what you're trying to do. He may not know the exact calls. Same with Jeff Teague. Those guys have been through it, played in different places for different coaches. And so I think it's easier for them. You're adding on top of the new game, the faster paced game, and a new playbook and new defensive terminology. You're adding to that a new schedule where practice is different, games come quicker, travel's crazy, and all that stuff. And this is a unique time. And, obviously the testing requirements and the way that we have to operate in our facility makes it very unique for everybody. But I'm sure that it really stands out to the youngest players that weren't a part of the bubble.
All right. We're going to wrap it up right there. Thanks, Coach.
Thank you all.